Your love for justice, your love for the law?
I still love it. I still love it a lot. I read a lot about international law. I wanted to, when I was studying, I was very interested in that. There's this assumption when you grow up in America, if you have certain opportunities, which I did, and you grow up in a certain sort of like socioeconomic demographic and whatnot, where you go, oh, every other nation in the world has our kind of law enforcement and our kind of democracy, and which is super naive and not true. And as all of that becomes very clear, there's this huge canyon between our legal system, which is broken and it's working the best it can, and a country that has no legal system, zero, and it's just free for all, and it's pure crime, or we would define it as that with our legal system. And so I was always interested in right and wrong. I was interested in what people are capable of. I was interested in big cases like murder, capital murder. I wasn't interested in why someone steals a car. I was interested in psychology of the law. And I was interested in the presumption of innocence, which isn't true. We say you're presumed innocent until proven guilty, and that's not true. Especially it's not true if you're not rich. And so what turned me on the most was international law, because that's where the most work needs to be done as far as people being accountable for crimes. I studied a lot of war crimes. But I also realized something that in my fixation on the legal process, I was very interested in juries. I was very interested in how an attorney communicates with people who don't know anything about a case, which is storytelling. And I remember having a really interesting conversation with a judge once, a powerful guy in Washington State, and we were talking about my future. And I said, I think I was a junior in college, and I said, hey, I think I'm going to take LSATs and I'm going to give this a go. And he talked me out of it. And he was like, he said, I don't think that you actually love the law, and I don't think you actually want to be an attorney. And this is a guy who was mentor since I was 16 or something in high school. So, 5 years or whatever it was. And he said, no, I don't think you should do it. And I said, why not? He said, I think you like telling the jury the story of the crime. I think you like standing up there and, being Tom Cruise in A Few Good Men, right? Or Atticus, or
the Firm,
or McConaughey in A Time to Kill, or whatnot. And those trial dramas that were great films with great performances, because he saw me in a courtroom doing mock trial, and he said, I think that you like performing more than you really like sitting down and reading a book of jurisprudence and looking at case law. I don't think you're passionate about that. And he said, if you're a really great attorney, you have to be passionate about that. There's a history side to the legal system that you have to be really interested in. And I told him the truth. I was like, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in convincing these people that this person is guilty or not guilty or whatever. And he said, well, you're proving my point, and you shouldn't do this then, because that's not ethical, because that's not a good enough reason to go through law school or to go through whatever whether it's public practice or whether it's private practice. You're either going to be working for a gigantic firm and toeing the line, or you're going to be learning about the politics of the inner workings of a DA's office or something. And he's like, when it's dark and the demons come, you have to be passionate about the law, and you're not. You're passionate about telling the story. And so that sent my pursuit of justice into a tailspin, because I felt like I hadn't been telling myself the truth about why I had been pursuing that. And then I was in a couple of plays that dealt with the law, and it kind of solidified it. It was like, oh man, this guy's super right. I like telling this story. I don't care about this actual trial. I care about the experience for the audience. And so by the time I decided to make a short film, my flame for being an attorney had gone out.
What about doing a documentary on a case?
I don't have a strong affinity for documentaries. I've watched a number of them. I've watched a number of documentaries. Most documentaries that I've seen have been recommended to me to see. I don't go to documentary film festivals. I don't search through, documentary lists and look for docs. There's something about that that's super true and real and beautiful and human that's not manipulated. I mean, some documentaries are manipulated, or they have a voice. They're trying to have a voice that is trying to stay as true in the wind as possible. But I far prefer the beauty of and the creation of something original and telling a story that hasn't been told before. If you watch a documentary, you know the end, like mostly you're like, oh, it's about this and that's what that's about and that's what happened, right? Like if a documentary was about Kennedy assassination, you're like, I wonder what that's about, right? As opposed to sitting down in the dark with a film maybe you've only seen a trailer for, or maybe you've only seen a press junket thing for, and time traveling, you sit in a dark room and everything goes dark and you go somewhere else. One of the earliest films that that stayed like in my heart and my soul until today, and will continue to, is the film Last of the Mohicans. And I saw that film with my dad. We went twice, and that's truly time travel. Like you go into that film, I think I saw that in 93 or something, so I was young. And right away, Michael Mann puts on screen, I think it says 1777 or 1778, and it has this, beautiful, gorgeous score, and then it starts in the Blue Mountains, and you're like, I am there. And I'm super passionate about telling a story that's not true, and a documentary is generally true. And I am really passionate about creating an illusion, of something from nothing. And that's why I didn't make a documentary about the law. But there's some really awesome ones that I like a lot. But I have friends who are like super keen on docs, and I kind of rely on them. I'll be like, hey man, what's super good? And then they tell me what to watch. But I would prefer to watch something else that is going to take me into a world I've never been to before.